Day 6 of the Speyside Way, the final day. Back at Fochabers, or Burnside, and we're heading north for about 11 miles to Buckie. It's rather a damp morning and I've just missed a really heavy rain shower. But there's blue skies to the north and that's the way we're heading, so hopefully it'll improve. I'm looking forward to this one a bit more than yesterday because it looks as if there won't be much road walking until the very end. So let's make a start on this one. Well, there's a nice little footpath around the back of the school, but that brings us out onto the streets of Fochabers with no real indication where to go, so there you go. We know we're on the right track. Well, we're still in Fochabers, but there's quite an interesting footpath runs around the outside of it. And I think if you live in Fochabers, there's some good walks. You wouldn't believe that just over to the right there is the main high street. Well, there's an early sight of the River Spey here, makes a change. And a nice picnic spot if you had a much nicer day than today. All right, let's hope we see a lot more of this river. There's a very pleasant wooded section just outside Fochabers. Nice path, nice and easy going on your feet for a change. Quite a dark morning, it's actually probably a lot darker than it's going to appear on the camera. Seems as if you're miles from nowhere, but you can still hear all the traffic making its way past Fochabers. Well, this is very pleasant. We're right alongside the road, but actually on a footpath. So if all the other road walking sections were like this, there wouldn't be a problem. Well, look, right alongside the River Spey. This is what this path should have been like all the way along. Here's the path, and there's the river. Think how much more pleasant this would have been if this was like this all the way. Well, this is a lovely wooded section here. Much like most of the forests we've come through so far, but somehow this feels different. Maybe it's because the weather's a bit damp and bringing out all the colours. But it's certainly a lot better than many of the forestry tracks we've been through before. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick it up. There's some beautiful rich red on these pine trees here. We've left the woods now and we're on one of Scotland's old green roads. But it looks as if we're just in the middle of the countryside, but then I spotted this little path or a little track here. And if we go up here, it's the River Spey. We've come right away from the river now and fair way inland from the river on one of these stretches that goes on and on. Wind's picking up now as well. It's still quite pleasant though. It's not cold even though we're virtually in October. Just about 5 miles in now and I found a picnic bench to stop and have a bite to eat and a drink. It's been a lot better today so far than yesterday, but it's still not overly interesting. A couple of glimpses of the River Spey which soon went away. And we're now on one of those just long country lanes. Weather's not too good today and it's a bit chilly sitting here, so I'll have to make a move pretty soon. Well, I wonder what wildlife we're going to see, if any. Some civilization up ahead. Getting really windy now, and for the first time on this walk it's turning a bit cold. I might even have to put a jacket on rather than keep taking it off as I did before. And all of a sudden that changes dramatically as the River Speys spreads out on its final light journey to the sea. Bit of wildlife over there, and I think you might even be able to see the sea just through there. In fact you can see the waves coming in. I'm not sure what this little hamlet is, but it's got some nice old buildings in it and a pleasant house there. And we've got to go left. That's a rather splendid house. Well, that was a grand old place once upon a time. Ah, it's the Scottish Dolphin Centre. Sadly, it's closed. Thursday to Monday, and today is Tuesday. Oh, shame. Would have gone in there. This all seems rather strange now, because after all that walking through the woods and the forest paths, we suddenly come to the sea, and it seems as if it's all over, but there's still a good few miles left. Well, that was almost the wrong turn. Merrily trotting along this road, head down, get the miles in, and I missed this sign on here. Just about caught my eye. We're off the road. Another very nice path here. We're only 20 yards from the road, but it's very pleasant. I was worried that the last sort of like 4 miles or so might be road walking again, but we've got this little section, and I think it peels off around the golf course soon. So maybe just the last couple of miles of road. Fairly sheltered in these woods, but you can hear the wind blowing through the treetops, and we're walking parallel to the sea, so you can almost imagine that it's the sound of the sea breaking upon the beach, but I think we're too far away for it to be that. This ancient tumulus in the woods seems to be a good place to stop for a coffee, and of course it's not ancient at all. It's maybe it's an art installation, I don't know, but there's lots of piles of stones throughout these woods and tree trunks and on the path, so maybe someone's been having a bit of fun. I'm not sure why people do these things. Maybe it's art, maybe someone's buried their dog there, I don't know. You've no idea how good that feels. Years ago I never used to take my boots off at all, just used to plod on, but now the feet hurt a lot more than they did in those days, so it's a blessing to actually get them off once in a while. We've got a bit of road walking coming up, so hopefully I'll get my feet nice and recovered for that. In the meantime, sit in the woods, cup of coffee, and probably a snack. Still going through this rather lovely woodland just to the right of the golf course, and I wasn't really expecting this towards the end, and I'm really enjoying this. Maybe it's because I'm near the end and I know there's not that much further to go. So we come to a challenge. Nice to have a challenge. It's a good job I didn't have a big rucksack on. It was hard enough getting through there with the little one. Well, that's the way I haven't come from the diversion. I've come from the bit that's supposed to be flooded, and strangely, there's no notice the other side to say there's a diversion. Although, if you did find it, you know you're back on the path. And then the wonderful woodland section comes to an end. And just here we rejoined the railway that we started along all those days ago at Nethy Bridge. With a view of the sea in the far distance. You have to keep your wits about you on parts of this path. I've just trotted about 500 yards up there, thinking that this means straight ahead, but in fact it means go down here. And then we'll join the old railway. Well, I think we could still get a train along that way, but then he might have problems. So all of that woodland then has grown up since the railway was dismantled. I don't know how many years, but that's quite remarkable. Well, it's quite open here, and the sea's what, a couple of 100 yards away, and the wind is really whipping across the sea now. Well, that's where we've been. Not much longer left now. And we're coming up to Port Gordon. So that wasn't Buckie that I thought it was. Probably still a couple of miles to go before we get to Buckie. And now we know we're at the sea. Looks like a big trog along the road now. Might walk on that grass on the other side. Well, it seems to be a good place to have a rest. It's Port Gordon, about 2 miles from the end of the trail at Buckie. And I'll have about 20 minutes here and then slog along the road and finish it off. I promised myself that this would be a day when I got the drone out and get some spectacular drone shots, but apart from being very grey all day, where the colours don't show at all, it's been far too windy, and I don't really want to lose my drone in the River Spey or over in the sea. So unfortunately that'll have to wait for another day, another walk. That's a pity. Well, it looks from the map as if this part of the walk is all along the road, but it's not. It's got this nice path right next to the sea, so that's a bit more pleasing than road slogging. Although the wind itself gets you out of breath, let alone the walking. Well, the end is nigh, or almost nigh. Not too sure how big Buckie is, but I doubt very much whether we're there yet. Nothing like a bit of traffic to end your tour. Can't be much further to go now. Well, it's not exactly obvious where this ends. There's no signs, so I assume we follow it to the town centre and hope that that's where the official end is. And there's a little ceremonial end to the Speyside Way, although that is a little bit easy to miss. But we turn up here and we've finally come to the end of the Speyside Way. Well, that's a nice welcome sign at the end. Makes you feel as if you've achieved something, and I guess I have. I've finished the Speyside Way over 6 days. Wasn't sure I'd do that. And I've also finished my first ever long distance walk, coming up to my mid-70s, so I guess that's an achievement in itself. But we haven't finished yet. There's still a few yards to go. Let's get those finished. And that's it. So that's it, the Speyside Way completed in 6 days. I'm really chuffed about that. I wasn't sure after day 2 whether I'd actually complete it. I was going to do a little reflection on the walk here, but it's rather windy and there's a lot of traffic about. So I'll go back to the holiday cottage and do a summary, give some thoughts on the walk itself. Hallelujah, I've finished. Well, this is the day after finishing the Speyside Way and I'm back at our holiday cottage. How about that for a view? I'm pretty chuffed to have actually finished the Speyside Way, especially after that second day with the blisters. Virtually all of the skin of the ball of my right foot came away, and it's not a place where you can actually put a blister plaster or do much else. If I'd been backpacking, that would have been the end of the trip. But luckily we had the car, so I could take a day off, drive into Aberdeen to Decathlon and various other places and get strapping, dressings, gels, etc. to enable me to carry on. It was still pretty painful right up to the last day, but I made it through. I wasn't sure what to expect of this Speyside Way. I chose it because it looked fairly easy, looked fairly level, and it was my first ever long distance walk, or the first one that I could complete. I did in fact start the coast to coast walk way back in 1975, but only managed 2 days. This time I got all the way through. I thought it would be a walk mainly alongside the River Spey. And although it is a walk in the area known as Speyside, it's certainly not a walk along the side of the Spey. I probably got more glimpses of the River Spey driving to Aviemore than I did in 6 days walking. It's probably a bit like the Hadrian's Wall path without the wall, or doing the Thames path, going through the villages and lanes of the home counties, whilst doing your very best to stay away from the towpath. Very strange. Most of my previous walking has been done in the Lake District, so to be honest I found great sections of that to be quite boring. There was a lot of level walking on the gravel, on compacted gravel, and far too much road walking. Give me the Lake District any day. The level walking was one of the reasons I actually chose this path, but I think that was a mistake. Trudging along miles after mile on compacted gravel or roads takes it out on your legs and feet far more than actually walking up and down hills. In fact, the easiest part of the Speyside Way was the uphill bits, climbing through the forest or in the open fields. Not quite sure who the Speyside Way is for. If you're a weekend rambler used to the country lanes of Essex, then you'd be absolutely delighted with it. But if you're a seasoned fell walker used to fantastic views, then you're going to be severely disappointed. It's okay as a trail, but certainly not one I'd choose to do again. As I say, I'm chuffed to have finished that walk as my first long distance walk, and getting on a bit in years now. Looking forward now to planning another one, but not quite sure what to do. The low level ones to me are a little bit boring, and something like the Pennine Way is out of the question. So if you've got any suggestions for a nice, fairly easy long distance walk that's got some great scenery, please let me know, and maybe I'll tackle that one next. Anyway, thanks for watching all these videos. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope it gave you a little bit of insight into the Speyside Way. And now it's time for me to enjoy the rest of my holiday. I think I'll take a walk along the coast behind me. Thanks again for watching.